I'm Bill Morey, and I'm here today with Michelle Mance from the Longmeadow Pipeline Awareness Group. Michelle, can you tell us a little about the mission of your group?
I'd be very happy to do so. I think you know, Bill, that we've been around for a while. We started with 2 people about a year and a half ago, and we've evolved over the course of the last 18 months into a mailing list of 130.
Wow.
And I would say that out of that 130, we have 40 really active members.
Great.
One of the reasons I think that people have become increasingly involved with the group is the fact that from the beginning our mission has been to prevent the construction of an industrial gas facility on Longmeadow Country Club property. Since we learned about the plans of Tennessee Gas and Columbia Gas to build 4 outbuildings on a 2-acre lot on Longmeadow Country Club property, we've been working very hard to block that because we believe that it is totally inappropriate. It does not belong in a residential neighborhood. Some of the actions that we've taken in the past, actually since March, we have attempted to educate the community and the state by trying to draw residents to a public hearing that was held in March, sponsored by the Energy Facility Siting Board. We had about 130 people there, and 40 people spoke against having a gas industrial metering station in this residential neighborhood not far from Wolf Swamp Elementary School, right?
That's right. It's right around the corner, isn't it?
Yes. And 40 people who spoke against were heard by the EFSB. In fact, after the hearing, several months later, the Energy Facility Siting Board issued their statement saying that the state should pay attention to the residents of Longmeadow regarding their concerns and their questions. We should have our questions answered. Also in May, you may remember that we brought forward some strict gas emission standards. Should a facility come to town, we wanted to ensure that our residents would be minimally exposed to noise, odor, and gas emissions. And we were successful in having that measure passed. And in June, we were successful in getting voters to the polls to vote in favor of question 2, which was a measure that endorsed the Select Board's proposed efforts to investigate a means of blocking construction of the gas metering station. Over 68% of the voters voted in favor of question 2. We considered that to be a real demonstration of our community's opposition. And now, on August 20th, we are bringing forward another zoning bylaw. This one would call for an outright ban of construction of any gas facility, industrial gas facility, in a Longmeadow residential zone. And we're hoping that our residents, our supporters, go to the special town meeting on August 20th at 7 o'clock at Longmeadow High School to vote yes, yes for a ban of construction of such a facility.
It sounds like your group has done a lot of research and a lot of good work on the project. You mentioned, it just sounds to me like your group is really more concerned with, in honesty, the safety and the health of Longmeadow residents.
Absolutely, that's what motivates us. And to address health before safety, simply because you mentioned Wolf Swamp Elementary School being so close to the proposed facility, there is much in the way of data, scientific data, that supports the fact that gas infrastructure, especially high-powered gas pipelines, expose people to a lot of air contaminants. And the elderly and children are the segments of the population that are most affected by this.
Michelle, it seems strange to me. Why would, maybe it's a dumb question, any resident of Longmeadow be interested in having what I consider a commercial facility right here smack dab in our town?
Well, we found that most of the people, when they learn about this, are opposed. But there are some people that identify as supporters. Many of those supporters were people who are members of Longmeadow Country Club. Because as you know, in selling the easement on the 2 acres, the country club was paid $2.7 million by Tennessee Gas. So they were very eager to have that money. There are some people that believe, that persist in believing, that if we expand gas infrastructure, that it will provide us with cheaper gas. And our research has shown that the cost of this gas infrastructure expansion is going to be in the tens of millions of dollars. And my experience as a ratepayer, and I think your experience as a ratepayer, is that rarely does the company eat the expense. Yeah. It's almost always passed on to the ratepayer. Yeah. So I think it is the issue of perhaps we need this facility in order to meet our needs in Longmeadow. And one of the things that we additionally educate people about is the fact that 75% of all homes in Longmeadow already have gas. And this massive pipeline that they're planning for Longmeadow Street and Shaker Road, which will go north through town and then head into an undesignated neighborhood in Springfield. The purpose of that high-powered line is not to meet our gas needs. Our gas needs are met. The purpose is to push gas north for the expanded markets that they hope to create.
You would think they could find a way around other than through our town to do that.
One would actually hope so, but right now this is the drum that they're banging.
Well, I understand most of the time there's international standards for most things, and I understood that your group had talked to a couple of experts that new pipeline safety rules, and I'm just curious how closely they're being followed with these issues. And I hear that there are issues that will not allow the pipeline to build the facility down near the Connecticut River, which really is not in the middle of a residential area, right. That it's not safe to build it down there. Why would it be safe to build it in a residential area? Yeah,
well, those are excellent questions. We keep on asking that question. We don't get very satisfactory answers to it. I mean, we begin from the position that it doesn't belong in a residential neighborhood, especially so close to a school. We have mentioned Fanny Stebbins because the gas company already owns a valve station there. They have the easement there. But it looks as if because it's located in a floodplain, and that makes it ill-advised. And also the gas company would have to expand pipeline quite a bit in order to reach that site. The 2-acre lot on Longmeadow Country Club property is the cheapest spot for them to attach pipelines, and also the least expensive. And so it appears as if, once again, the dollars are talking. One of the things that you talked about was safety, and in all of this, I talked about health a little bit, but I do want to mention the fact that, safety issues are, and safety concerns are the result not so much of events that have happened a year ago or 6 months ago, but if we look at July and August, we can cite gas explosions, some of which are due to pressurization issues that have had really significant consequences. And because I like to be accurate, I've written them down. So I want to make sure I'm saying the right thing. In July 3rd in Charlotte, North Carolina, a house exploded, killing a woman who was inside. On July 5th in Reno, Nevada, at the University of Nevada, there was a dorm explosion due to a severed gas line. 8 people were injured. On July 6th in Plantation, Florida, there was a mall explosion that injured 23 people. And in the first week and a half of August, we've had a Kentucky gas line, 30-inch in diameter line, which ruptured, injured 5 people and killed 1 person. After that came a home in a suburb outside of Pittsburgh where 5 people were injured, and a home totally leveled due to pressurization issues. And on August 5th, someone today just told me that while she was heading toward the State House, a gas line ruptured outside of the Boston State House. And there was a gas leak. It took the gas company 1.5 hours before they arrived. So it's not as if we're still pointing at Merrimack Valley, which happened in September 18th of last year. These are ongoing issues. They don't get a lot of exposure. They get mentioned in the news, and then the news item evaporates.
It's interesting. I was watching, as many I'm sure of our audience was, to the explosion in Kentucky, where the 30-inch line exploded, and they had an aerial shot of the area. And I would have said, and it's tough to tell from aerial shots, I would have said from the center where the explosion or where the rupture took place, the entire fields that they showed were burned out. I would have said at least a football field in all directions.
Right.
That's what that's going to be, 200 yards. And I look at where they're talking about doing something in Longmeadow, 200 yards would take care of burn out an awful lot of homes, I think.
Yes.
And say nothing, which is one of my major concerns, is Wolf Swamp School right there.
Exactly.
So in the summer, big deal. But you take a school day, and you're talking a lot of kids.
And we're also talking about destroying, for most people, the biggest investment that they make is in one's home. And so I know that doesn't come close when you're talking about human lives, but it is a factor. I mean, God forbid that this would happen, but do we want to take the risk? That's the point. We don't. We don't want to risk it, and we don't want to jeopardize people's health and their property values. So, you know what we have to do.
Well, it seems to me, and I think you mentioned it before, that there's and I think you've answered my question, is it really necessary that the citizens show up at this August 20th town meeting?
I would say absolutely. Yeah. And most importantly, they need to know that they're showing up for 2 votes, one on our zoning bylaw amendment, and the second regarding the speed bump outside of Longmeadow High School. So people aren't going to be there until, it's an hour and a half tops.
Yeah, should be short.
Should be short.
Well, very good. Well, thank you very much.
Thank
and
you
do you have
very
any
much.
other comments you'd like to make before we wrap up?
No, I just appreciate your help in all of this.
Glad to do that, and we appreciate LCT TV.
That's absolutely correct.
Thank you
very much.